Hi, I'm Micah Koch, Managing Director of UrbanX, and on behalf of the entire team at Mini and UrbanUs, thank you for joining us for Demo Day '08. We wish that we could be with you in person. So much of our work is about building a community, but we're excited that you're with us virtually, joined in common purpose around a unique opportunity to rethink outdated systems, to renew inefficient infrastructure, and to rebuild more equitable urban systems. On behalf of our entire team, we're thrilled to introduce you to 6 founders making this vision for more equitable, efficient, and enjoyable cities a reality. While some have forecast the demise of the city, we believe in creative reinvention. We're in the midst of regulatory and technological breakthroughs that are enabling a new generation of leaders to build back better. Derek Thompson, staff writer at The Atlantic and host of the podcast Crazy/Genius, recently wrote, "The 21st century city is the child of catastrophe. The comforts and infrastructure we take for granted were born of age-old afflictions, fire, flood, pestilence. Our tall buildings, our subways, our subterranean conduits, our systems for bringing water in and taking it away, our building codes and public health regulations, all were forged in the aftermath of urban disasters by civic leaders and citizen visionaries. From this tradition come 6 founders from Cohort 8, as well as our alumni network of 51 companies, linked by new thinking on how cities can function, new approaches to efficiency and zero emissions, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Their willingness to experiment, iterate, and bring new solutions to market for clean water, electric mobility, seamless delivery logistics, and transportation management are a necessary complement to the social movements and civil disobedience demanding progress in our streets. Over the last 5 months, our founders have persisted through blackouts, wildfires, illness, and personal loss, and we've been honored to help them build their vision. We're excited for them to share their stories with you today. As we grapple with how to better design communities that keep us healthy, safe, and connected, our ambition should exceed short-term fixes to our streets and buildings and expand our vision of the art of the possible. In that question, and in the struggle for truth, courage, and evidence-based solutions, entrepreneurs play a central role. We look forward to your questions via the online chat, and we appreciate your continued support and engagement. Applications for our next cohort are open for 1 more week. So if you know of a startup that we should be considering, or you're building a company making city life brighter, visit urban-x.com/apply. On behalf of the entire team, please vote on November 3rd. Stay safe and be excellent to each other. With that, I'd like to introduce our first founder for today. Thank you.
I'm Richard, the founder and CEO of Adiona. We help mobile fleets achieve extraordinary efficiency by using AI to detect, correct, and predict logistics bottlenecks automatically. Urban congestion costs the global economy $2 trillion annually due to lost productivity, a quarter of which is directly to the transport industry, and the transport industry itself contributes a quarter of global greenhouse gas emissions. While commuter traffic is decreasing due to the pandemic, the explosion of e-commerce is offsetting it and growing quickly. This is VJ, a delivery driver for one of the world's biggest Coca-Cola bottlers, and he often has long, difficult days. Because this is Liz, a workforce planner, and she uses a complex system of tools, mostly manual, and evolved over many years to schedule hundreds of drivers to thousands of locations every week. In order to automate and optimize these inefficient processes, her only choice is a multi-year, $1 million transformation project, which the CIO and CFO are rarely looking to consider. By contrast, in less than 4 weeks, Adiona helped them to reduce their average delivery drive time by 48%, their average delivery distance by 36%, and keep 7 megatons of greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere. Their contractors make the same amount of money in less time, they've been able to close depots in some areas, and customer satisfaction rates have doubled. And even more importantly, they love using our software, and have started to scale it across other parts of their business and the global Coke ecosystem. And our other customers are loving it too, because it's easy for developers, who are our primary customers, to use and integrate. Our proprietary AI takes in data from many systems and uses innovative deep learning models inspired by NLP and image processing to create a digital twin of the operations process. This allows us to simulate it, benchmark the efficiency, detect problems, and automatically integrate our sticky optimization solutions for very fast results. These solutions are all available through our API endpoints, so in-house or partner developers can experiment with them and integrate at their own pace. They stand alongside a customer's existing IT infrastructure, they're super easy to use, and getting more powerful all the time. Companies with mobile workforces of all kinds are using our tools to solve their own unique problems in their own environments. We've already hit almost 20K in MRR this year, are growing 10% month on month, and are executing paid proofs of concept with potential contract values of up to $10 million in ARR. Compared to long transformation projects and end-to-end platforms, Adiona's low capital starting requirements and rapid deployment are very attractive. For example, Coke dedicated 2 years to implementing a route optimization platform called ShoreTrek, and then gave up on it a few years later. But we've given them better results, much faster, and for less upfront. What first sets us apart is our scale. Most logistics optimization startups are focusing on small and medium fleets. They can't serve large organizations because their algorithms and APIs don't scale well. For example, other solutions take up to 4 hours to plan 5,000 jobs, whereas Adiona can plan over 100,000 jobs in just seconds. Our other advantages are ease of use, implementation speed, and customizability. Developers get results in as little as an hour, with a wealth of tutorials and data samples to get them started quickly. In the booming courier market alone, there are over 300,000 organizations worth over $300 billion in annual revenue, and they spend an average of 6% annually on efficiency improvements. With our high ROI and low starting costs, we're one of the most attractive options for that budgetary spend and the additional $18 billion that they spend on logistics management software. Beyond product and parcel delivery, we also have ongoing proofs of concept and demonstrated demand in markets such as construction materials, automotive transport, field services, mobile trades, and more. Pricing is simple and SaaS-based. It's based on a small charge for each location that they visit when using our API. This relates perfectly to their unit economics, like the cost per delivery or per job, and scales up and down easily with their business without having to worry about things like licenses or seats. And of course, volume discounts apply. We're going to market primarily via direct sales and aiming for the biggest marquee brands like Coke. We're also partnering with the best telematics and fleet IoT providers like Telstra here in Australia. Both strategies have allowed us to close six-figure deals in just weeks. Our team is a balanced blend of research, engineering, and commercialization. My co-founder is a PhD candidate in genetic algorithms for optimization at the University of New South Wales, and also an experienced software engineer with a decade of design experience. I'm a second-time founder that has been commercializing complex tech for over 20 years and has highly cited global patents. And we have a deep partnership with the University of New South Wales Logistics Research Team, one of the best in the world, who are also helping us evolve this framework for today's problems and towards autonomous logistics in the future. Together, we've already raised over $500,000 in non-dilutive grants to build our IP, of which Adiona is the sole owner. Urbanization and e-commerce are advancing across the world right now. Vehicle traffic in many major cities is already back to pre-COVID-19 levels and will surge hugely in the next few years. Adiona is providing a critical weapon to offset these effects, and we hope that you'll join us.
Hi, I'm Shilpi Kumar with UrbanUs. Let's get started with the first Q&A section of UrbanX Demo Day 8. We are live today on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Zoom. Thank you for joining us. We encourage you to submit questions via your local chat, and we'll have 3 minutes per startup, starting with Rich Savoy, founder and CEO of Adiona. Rich, can you tell us more about your go-to-market?
Absolutely. We've had about 300% pipeline growth, along with 10% month-on-month MRR growth in just the last few months. And we've achieved this in 2 ways. First, direct sales. So our go-to-market hinges on direct sales because we're building a team with logistics and e-commerce experience to talk directly with marquee customers like Coke and big postal and courier organizations. And 2, partnerships with IoT companies who are actively looking for optimization solutions for their customers to use with the telematics devices that they supply already. So the key is marketing to companies that actively understand and want to use the value of their data and show them how this can be done quickly, even if their data isn't perfect.
Thanks. And Rich, can you tell us more about how COVID-19 has affected your business?
Well, COVID is one of the reasons that our pipeline growth has been so dramatic, leading to what we now estimate about $16 million in ARR accessible via our pipeline and rapid growth. So COVID's driven a dramatic acceleration of e-commerce across the board, and certain aspects of the e-commerce supply chain are more unprepared than others, which we've all experienced over the last few months. We've identified urgent opportunities in segments such as general and specialized couriers, grocery and refrigerated foods, especially in areas like meal kits and veggie boxes, and of course, the manufacturing supply chain.
Great. Rich, what does a typical sales cycle look like for you?
Well, our customer developers can get going right away on our website with a free 90-day license. So they immediately can start to try out the product and experiment with it with their own data. And we partner with them with a customer success manager and guide them through the onboarding and integration process. As they start to use the product, our engine is identifying ways to solve more efficiency problems automatically, which we then create curated suggestions on how to unlock even more value with upgrades and then lock in value-based pricing for additional products. So developers are our primary customers and users, and we unlock more and more value to sell it up into the organization.
Thanks, Rich. Next up, we have Dal Avant from Aquagenuity.
I'm Dal Avant, founder and CEO of Aquagenuity, the Google search for water quality. Aquagenuity helps you understand what's in your water in real time so you can protect your health. 233 million Americans have some form of contamination in our water. This was brought to light when Flint, Michigan made national headlines for toxic levels of lead in their tap water. What most don't know is a fact I shared in my TED Talk. There are 3,810 locations in the United States with more lead in their water than Flint, Michigan. The long-term health effects of poor water quality, from heart, kidney problems to Alzheimer's and even cancer, often set in without us noticing because the way we monitor water quality hasn't changed in over 50 years. 86% of US adults have concerns about water quality. At Aquagenuity, we give consumers peace of mind by making real-time water quality monitoring possible at scale for the first time. We've spent the last 2 years developing a proprietary data engine that aggregates, correlates, normalizes, and analyzes publicly available data from all 151,000 individual water systems in the United States, from the EPA, public utilities, and municipalities. For designing this data architecture, I was named a Global Impact Fellow by Singularity at NASA Research Park. This engine is fueled by the AquaScore, a proprietary algorithm that takes water quality data from disparate sources and transforms it into a score from 0 to 100, which can then be displayed on platforms consumers use every day and ultimately drive sales to our marketplace. We've been featured by Forbes, Wired, and the New York Times for being the first in the world to provide real-time, hyperlocal water quality data that can be displayed on a smart device. Before Aquagenuity, there was no simple, scalable way to aggregate and distribute this data. Other sources like EWG are outdated, hard to access, and difficult to understand. Aquagenuity is the only source providing real-time water quality data that's actionable to the average consumer. We've aggregated all of the existing data, so now we're acquiring data that no one else has at the tap. Hyperlocal data at the tap is what makes real-time water quality monitoring possible. Traditionally, it's been too costly to gather hyperlocal data at scale. But we've found that the people who care the most about water quality are willing to pay for testing it. Parents of school-aged children, 45% of whom express deep concern about water quality in their homes and local schools. This represents a $13 billion market opportunity. We can capture $100 million in value over the next few years through our existing partnerships with schools. Our first revenue came from a single partnership that has grown into a $37 million pipeline of school districts across 2 states seeking to purchase our test kits in bulk. Soon, we'll expand this model to schools nationwide. We also have a partnership with Google for Education and pending deals with Zillow and the Weather Channel. They display our data as a value add to their millions of monthly visitors. In exchange for our data, they drive consumers back to Aquagenuity to purchase water solutions in our marketplace, like our water DNA test kits, the 23andMe of water. The more kits we have in market, the more hyperlocal data we'll have. And this gives us more data than the EPA. With our current momentum, we'll hit $4 million in revenue by this time next year, and over the next 2 years, pass 50,000 users and $10 million in revenue, all by leveraging our existing partnerships. Next year, we'll launch a software we've developed that's calibrated by our test kit data to monitor water quality in real time. I'm a data scientist and a graduate of Harvard University. After my father passed away from complications due to his water, I founded Aquagenuity. I was named Google's International Woman of Water and featured on the homepage of Google and by global institutions and leaders for this work. Aquagenuity was named one of 7 technologies saving the world's waterways by Ocean Vision's MIT, Stanford, the Smithsonian, and the United Nations. I'm joined by my co-founder, Chris Jones, a patent holder who has led divisions at Adidas and Mattel. Other team members have led at the EPA, the White House, National Boards of Education, have taken companies public, literally built AWS, and represented our country to the United Nations. We're opening our seed round of $1.2 million with SoftBank as our lead investor. We've also received additional capital from Google. With funding, we'll hire a full-time CTO and build out additional features for our software that will launch next year. This work matters now more than ever because according to the United Nations, by 2030, there'll be a 40% greater demand for clean water than there is supply on this planet for the first time in human history. With 40% of this round already in the bank, we're seeking a few key investors who will join us as we make Aquagenuity the most trusted answer to the question, what's in your water?
Thanks, Stahl. I have a question here. So how much data coverage does Aquagenuity have now? And how much manual testing is going to be required to keep the software accurate in real-time water quality monitoring?
Thanks, Shilpi. Aquagenuity, our database currently covers 82% of the US population. That's the 262 million Americans that get their water from public water systems that serve more than 3,000 people. By designating school and specific school districts across the United States as aqua hubs, where they continue to do regular testing, we'll be able to keep our models accurate and always be able to monitor water quality in real time with the software.
Thanks. What is the value to Zillow and the Weather Channel? What is the nature of these partnerships?
Thank you. Major data partners like Zillow and the Weather Channel see value in our unique data set that they can't get anywhere else. They know that health conscious consumers want this information. So Zillow, for example, has 124 million unique monthly visitors to their site. They want to allow those visitors to be able to search for homes by water quality. And then they drive those consumers back to our site for a water appraisal, which they could purchase in our marketplace and make it a standard part of the real estate purchasing process.
How exactly is Aquagenuity different or better than existing data sources?
Thank you for that question. EWG is one of the main competitors that we get asked about, but they're actually a nonprofit and they manually collect data once every 3 to 5 years to get donations. Their data is outdated and it's not available or accessible via API. Our database is aggregated and accumulates data automatically through our proprietary scripts and algorithms. And we also provide that data to data partners and to consumers via smart device through our API. And lastly, and most importantly, we have hyperlocal data that no one else has, which actually gives us more data than the EPA.
How do you anticipate that users will act on the data that they get from their tap water monitors?
Great question. Most people, once they understand our aqua score, they're able to actually find out what's in their water, what that means for their health, and then purchase customized solutions in our marketplace. So, for example, if you want to protect your home or your health, you have to have a filter that's certified by the NSF to remove the geospecific contaminants where you live. Consumers are able to easily find those solutions in our marketplace, which in essence positions us as the Amazon of water.
And last question here from the audience. How do you measure the quality of well water, especially at the home level?
Our test kits, our water DNA kits, we call them the 23andMe of water, are very simple to use. Users can actually order them. They come in the mail, you fill it up with water, send it back, and you get a certified lab report telling you exactly what analytes have been found in the water. And when you purchase those kits, you're actually able to choose based on whether you have city water or well water, and then it's sent to the proper lab for that analysis.
Thanks, Dahl. Next pitch we have is with Mobilyze. David Keith from Mobilyze.
I'm David Keith, CEO and co-founder of Mobilyze.ai. We've built a platform to predict purchase intent for the technologies that will transform our residential energy system, and we're starting with electric vehicles. We urgently need to build an energy system that is green, resilient, and affordable. But the problem isn't that we need a technological breakthrough to make this happen. It's that we need to get consumers to adopt the distributed energy technologies that we already have today. 36% of Americans say that they'll consider an EV for their next vehicle purchase. Yet only 2% of new vehicle buyers are actually buying EVs today, with shoppers saying that they don't understand how EV technologies work, that dealers aren't knowledgeable about what incentives are available to buyers, and they don't know where EVs can be charged. Crack this adoption problem, and we'll unlock trillions of dollars of energy investment. Fundamentally, automakers don't really know who their customers are or where they live. This hasn't been a barrier to selling gasoline vehicles over the past 100 years. But EVs are different. Factors like the ability to recharge at home and to learn about EVs from other owners nearby are critical. An all-new approach to customer engagement is needed. Our solution is a prediction engine that identifies the specific households most likely to adopt EVs, a level of insight that companies selling EVs just don't have today. We provide them the tools they need to act on our predictions, allowing them to track engagement and conversion over time. And in the process, we gather data that allows us to continually improve the accuracy of our predictions. The foundation of our prediction engine is a comprehensive database mined from property assessments, electrical and construction permits, and aerial imagery. When combined with data on which individual households have already purchased EVs, we can analyze the determinants of EV adoption and identify which households are most likely to adopt next. Our understanding of EV purchase intent has two core uses. On one hand, micro-targeting EVs to willing buyers, and on the other, planning the charging infrastructure those buyers need. With BMW, we're developing a turnkey solution for automotive dealerships to target EV buyers based on their EV score, delivering them customized messaging. And with Fortune 100 energy company Exelon, we're applying our understanding of EV purchase intent to optimize the deployment of EV charging stations and grid infrastructure. We have over 20 companies in our pipeline today, including automakers, electric utilities, and charge point operators. These companies have the potential to generate over $500,000 of ARR for us, and we're uncovering new opportunities every week. We're starting with EVs because 17,000 auto dealerships in the US spend over $600 per vehicle on advertising through digital and traditional channels, totaling $10 billion of spend each year. With over 100 EV models to be available in the US within 2 years, we believe our unique approach to EV micro-targeting can service $5 billion of this market in the near term. And applying our understanding of clean tech purchase intent to other complementary technologies, such as home batteries and heat pumps, our aggregate adjacent market size could be as large as $10 billion. We sell the Mobilyze.ai platform on a subscription basis, starting at $2,000 a month. Premium pricing provides additional tools, such as turnkey deployment of micro-targeting campaigns. There are numerous companies in the automotive ecosystem that seek to generate automotive leads and integrate EVs more effectively with the grid. But what sets Mobilyze.ai apart is our ability to understand both where EV buyers are and where charging infrastructure is needed as a result. We start with a unique insight on who to target, and over time, we build an even deeper moat around how to target them most effectively. Our team is uniquely qualified to transform consumer behavior using data analytics. Our COO has led multiple software ventures from startup to successful exit. We have authored cutting-edge research at MIT on topics such as spatial patterns of EV adoption, the grid value of battery storage, and the psychology of car ownership. And we have worked for industry leaders like General Motors, Ørsted, AECOM, and McKinsey. Sustainable energy is coming, and Mobilyze.ai is unlocking the value of millions of households ready to adopt clean energy technologies today. Join us.
Thanks, David. I have a question here. How quickly can you launch Mobilyze in new markets?
Well, the core enabler of our entry into any new market is the availability of data. So we're really focused on building national data sets for the US because it substantially reduces our cost of market entry. Right now, we're starting a new project with Baltimore Gas and Electric, for example, and having data for Maryland already built into us in our platform means we can get them up and running quickly. It feeds our freemium pricing model because we can provide a core set of functionality to new users at minimal cost. And along the way, we're creating proprietary data sets that strengthen our data moat.
Is GDPR or data privacy a concern for you?
Well, absolutely. We take data privacy very seriously. So complying with best practices and any relevant legislation like GDPR in the UK and EU is really important. With GDPR, a particular consideration is limitation of purpose. So only using data for the purpose for which it is intended. And so we see the ability to still work very effectively in GDPR markets using data from sources like credit card transactions and cell phone data where the data subjects have already consented to the use of their data for marketing purposes.
David, what does a typical sales cycle look like?
Yeah, so we have a freemium subscription-based model. So we try and get our customers immediate access to the platform with a 90-day license to the core functionality. We then work with them to define the feature requirements that they need. Sometimes that happens through a paid pilot deployment before a full-scale rollout with value-based subscription pricing.
And can you tell us more about your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so our go-to-market strategy is direct sales, and we're working with channel partners to really help that happen. In the near term, we're focused on automotive and utility customers because they have a lot of skin in the game when it comes to making the market for EVs. But what we found even more important than the industry that a firm is in is that they have a major triggering event, a new EV model they want to launch or an EV rate casing process, because that's really what demands that they obtain better market intelligence.
And what about pricing? Does this vary for different customer segments?
Yeah, so we start with free access to our core platform. Paid access provides our core suite of analytical tools, and that starts at $2,000 a month for a single city and scales geographically. So for larger jurisdictions or utility service territories, we go up from there. And a higher tier provides access to turnkey deployment of direct mail and email micro-targeting campaigns.
Thanks, David. That's all we have time for. Our next pitch is from Grayson Zuloff with Resonant Link.
Hi, I'm Grayson Zuloff, a co-founder of Resonant Link, and we're building the autonomous future of power. Our breakthrough wireless chargers are already used by Fortune 500 companies in medical devices and consumer electronics, but we're focused on something bigger, building the charging infrastructure of the next century. Autonomous electric drones, robots, and vehicles are here today, with over 100 million more coming online in the next decade. Despite the promise of electric autonomy to reduce operating costs for fleets in manufacturing, logistics, and transportation, there's still no good method for charging them quickly and automatically. In our beachhead market of mobile robots, wired charging requires 20% of a robot's life to be spent idle at the charging dock. To do a job then, this requires 20% extra robots, complex operational planning, and yearly charging maintenance. During their work, though, robots spend about 1 minute in one place to load, unload, or wait for the next command. With high-speed wireless charging, we can recharge their batteries enough during this short stationary time that robots can work 24/7, eliminating downtime and saving our customers $5 million per deployment by just right-sizing their fleets. And that's without even considering all of the other benefits of wireless charging on battery life and maintenance overhead. These power snacks are too fast for contact charging and completely infeasible for manual plugins. With this massive fleet cost, then, it's no surprise that robotics leaders have been searching for opportunity wireless charging for the better part of the last decade, but can't find it at the speed, size, and the price they need. Right now, they get to choose between 10x slower charging and chargers that are expensive and as big as the robots themselves. And unsurprisingly, they choose neither. Resonant Link builds the first wireless chargers at the speed and price they need. Our charger is 5 times faster and 10 times lower cost than our competitors, providing power at the same price and speed as wired solutions, but with the zero maintenance, instant start-stop, and fully automatic operation our customers are looking for. We can finally offer attractive wireless chargers because of the magic inside, a fundamental breakthrough from Dartmouth and Stanford that shatters the limits of conventional wireless charging. With 5 times higher performance and 5 times lower coil cost, we can finally open the door to value-add wireless charging. Our beachhead market is mobile robots, where full autonomy is here today, design cycles are fast, and the market is sizable and growing 50% every year. We'll sell directly to robot OEMs, with design wins into robots as their preferred charging solution, linking our growth to fleet growth in this market that will grow 7x in the next 5 years. Our alpha cohort is 80% full, just over 30 days after opening, under signed letters of intent. These customers alone comprise around 3% of the market, with over 5,000 chargers of annual volume expected as early as 2022. We've already generated $750K in customer revenue from Fortune 500 companies in medical devices and consumer electronics. These engagements have validated our technology, and we're converting the most promising of them to license deals, one of which already has a signed term sheet worth $2 million over the next 2 years. Our next step is to pilot this 5x faster charger and start to convert our alpha customers into signed purchase orders for high volume delivery starting in 2022. And as we grow into the preferred charger for robots, we'll be keeping our eyes on the next adjacent markets in drones and EVs, both of which are already starting to feel the same utilization crunch as autonomy increases. Our team is the core group that developed the technology during our PhDs at Stanford, Michigan, and Dartmouth, and advisors with leadership experience at companies like J&J, Eaton, and Intel. Our collective time in product management, engineering, and R&D forms the foundation to deliver chargers that customers need, even in demanding applications like medical and automotive. There are rechargeable batteries in every device, from smartphones all the way up to EVs. And with trillions of dollars to be invested in charging over the next decade, this is our chance to define the foundation of the next century of charging infrastructure. Let's make it fast, let's make it zero maintenance, and in the end, let's make it one that accelerates and enables electrification for the fleets that need it most. Thank you, and I'd love to take any questions.
Thanks, Grayson. How is your technology and market approach different from what other wireless companies like Witricity, Momentum, and New Current are doing? How is Resonant Link any better?
Yeah, thanks, Shilpi. And that's something that's important for us to answer in this crowded space. So I want to speak to both our beachhead market and our technology. On the first part, our competitors are really concentrated in consumer electronics and electric vehicles. And we're bringing wireless power to mobile robotics first for 3 reasons. Autonomy is here today. Volume scale is achievable within a year with rapid design cycles. And fast wireless charging can deliver bottom line savings for our customers today. On the technology side, our patented coils from Dartmouth and Stanford have a fundamental gain in performance of about 5x and lower costs than the coil technology that all of our competitors share. And the best validation here is that 3 other wireless power companies have recognized these gains and tried to buy our coils. And 2 of our first customers have already tried and failed to work with other companies in this space.
That's helpful. Thanks, Grayson. Can you talk us through your traction in medical devices? Why are Fortune 500 companies using your technology? And now that there are deployments, are you seeing any performance gains?
Yeah, so medical device companies have been pursuing wireless power for pretty much 50 years now to eliminate drive lines and the surgeries to replace batteries. But it's a really challenging application due to the strict FDA mandated tissue heating limits. And no previous wireless charging has delivered across the application space there. For one of our customers, our technology was the first to allow them to eliminate the drive line, a wire through the skin. And for another one, we're boosting their charging speed by 20x and removing patient frustrations and difficulties on misalignment. We already have 1 signed licensing term sheet here, as we alluded to, and the other 2 big device companies are active in our pipeline with another license expected in the 12-month timeframe.
Great. And for your other markets, when will your pilot chargers be deployed? I notice you have Alpha Cohort customers signed up, but what is the value proposition for them?
Yeah, our robotics companies have been searching for value add wireless power for the better part of a decade. And our Alpha Cohort is 80% full, and we're expecting that final slot to be filled any day now. For one of the companies, our wireless charging infrastructure is bringing their charging costs for 10 robots from $28,000 down to $6,000. And that's really the bottom line value that we think Opportunity Wireless Charging can deliver in this market. So we'll deliver our pilot chargers in Q2 2021, pilot them together with these customers for 3 months, and then start converting them to high volume orders with delivery starting in early 2022.
Thanks, Grayson. We have to move to the next pitch. Mike Lim from Xtelligent.
Hello, I'm Mike Lim, co-founder of Xtelligent. Xtelligent is building the traffic signal system of the future that will significantly improve the congestion, livability, and sustainability of cities. 98% of traffic signals today are based on a simple timer, an approach that was invented when the horse and buggy roamed the streets. If you have waited at a red light as a pedestrian, driver, or cyclist, and wondered what you were waiting for, you were waiting on a timer. This antiquated approach to movement control impacts numerous aspects of modern life and industries, including mobility, logistics, and construction, to name a few. This is because traffic signals set the ground rules for movement. Unintelligent, non-agile traffic signals have negative impact on our cities. Congestion alone costs $151 billion annually for the US, not including the full cost associated with social and environmental impact. Gridlock and pollution are expected to get worse, compounded by population growth and urbanization. It leaves cities without control over one of the most important levers to influence transportation. Smarter adaptive traffic signal systems exist, but they require new hardware like video cameras, resulting in average cost of $150,000 per intersection just to get set up. There are more than 5 million intersections in major cities globally, but 98% of them remain underserved due to cost. Xtelligent has found a way to address this vast need by providing a solution that cuts setup costs by 20x, while also enabling significant performance and control gains. First, we take a software-centric approach rather than relying on expensive hardware to enable situational awareness and communication. Second, we use distributed control algorithms inspired by the internet to improve the real-time retiming of traffic signals. This is not only effective, but also resilient, transparent, cost-effective, and scalable. The recent 26% traffic congestion reduction demonstrated in Colorado is ahead of schedule to get to 50% network level improvement. In combination, we are developing a significantly better performing system at a small fraction of the current adaptive traffic signal costs. Traffic signals are absolutely essential infrastructure. Before one can access major projects, one needs to be trusted by notable public, private, and nonprofit organizations. We are working on exciting projects, such as optimizing freight movement in the San Francisco Bay Area, improving congestion around the high-growth Denver metropolitan area, and preparing the traffic signal infrastructure in the LA region in preparation for the 2028 Olympics. We are well positioned to be working on numerous multi-million-dollar projects in the coming years. And today, we have approximately $950,000 of revenue in the pipeline. We have 3 LOIs in process with major distribution partners. The National Science Foundation has been funding our core research over the past decade, and the US DOE and DOT have provided $1.3 million in commercialization funding for us to positively improve the transportation infrastructure sector. We have a SaaS business model where we generate recurring revenue based on the impact we provide for the cities. We also work with transportation, engineering, and other sectors to improve their safety and efficiencies. Our primary opportunity in the city traffic signal control market is $23 billion per year globally. 5% of the US market represents a $75 million of annual recurring revenue. The secondary opportunities are also significant, and we are demonstrating an ability to add value to adjacent industries. For instance, we're currently partnered with Haas Alert to provide signal preemption for up to 95% of all new fire engines in the future. And we are mandated on exciting connected and automated vehicle projects, which you'll hear about soon. As the technology that acts as the spoke for the transportation future, we are uniquely positioned for scalability, network effect, and flywheel effect. We are also uniquely differentiated in ways that matter the most. Incumbents focus on using antiquated, centralized control algorithms and expensive hardware like video cameras. Other new entrants claim use of machine learning and AI, but their black box approach lacks transparency and accountability. Most focus on myopically on individual corridors, whereas we focus on the whole city network. Only our approach is able to realize meaningful, transparent, and cost-effective traffic management benefits at scale. Our team comprises top-tier connectivity and dynamic network control experts affiliated with MIT, USC, and Berkeley, data scientists and designers with experience from Apple and BMW, and former urban planners and city executives that used to procure technologies for cities. We also have operations, sales, and business development experience with high-growth VC-backed companies. We are collectively committed to using technology to benefit society. Xtelligent is building the next generation digital infrastructure company to greatly improve the productivity, livability, and sustainability of our cities. We hope you can join us on our journey.
Thanks, Mike. Can you tell us more about how Xtelligent is differentiated from others in this space, especially those that claim similar capabilities?
Absolutely. We briefly mentioned that we are differentiated by our distributed algorithmic approach that allows for scalability, significant cost efficiency, and ease of deployment. Additionally, it might be worthwhile highlighting a few more details. So first, we mentioned that our IT-inspired distributed approach is focused on the city network as a whole, rather than focusing only on a narrow set of intersections. What we didn't mention much is that this distributed approach also enables greater real-time resilience, including from cyber attacks or disasters, and also enables interoperability. Second, our system is designed to be highly transparent, accountable, and ethical. Our algorithmic approach is physics-based and does not ask the users to blindly put trust in a black box machine learning algorithm. And this allows us to provide the cities with a transparent and accountable understanding of how the system works and how it performs, rather than, again, placing blind trust in AI. And third, we have a deep scientific foundation, meaning, and we mentioned that our approach is based on scientific R&D backed by nearly a decade of US government funding, also validated by many of the researchers at the universities. But what we didn't highlight as much is that our team members are the very people that were responsible for developing these approaches. So we're not only committed to the vision of sustainable cities, but also deeply qualified to execute.
Thanks, Mike. How will COVID-19 affect your ability to target customers?
COVID-19 had a big impact in the first 3 months, nationally and specifically within our marketplace. However, at this point, we're seeing traffic volumes and city priorities return to normal and beyond. And surprisingly, there are several positive changes as well. Number one, it's been easier to engage with more potential partners since remote interaction is more accepted. Number two, city budgets have been impacted. This means that constraints on staff time and resources required, when it comes to providing services, core services around traffic management, needs technological support. So that is an area that we can really play an important role. And our focus on multimodality also bodes well because the transportation ecosystem is fundamentally changing when it comes to, say, active transportation such as cycling, e-commerce fleets, city services, emergency fleets. Overall, everything is shifting, which means that our multimodality and also our resilience system is, again, set up well.
Got it. And last question here, what is the state of the product?
We initially demonstrated in simulated environments at MIT and USC, and we saw about 50% improvement in network performance, as we stated earlier. That research was peer-reviewed and awarded the Donald P. Aikman Award for Automatic Control. And since then, we have been deploying in three key metropolitan areas in California and Colorado, and we are finalizing R&D at the moment, but recent tests have shown real-life impact of about 26% improvement for the network, which is ahead of schedule to get to 50% plus metric. We're now in the process of selecting distribution partners and have already identified several in the automotive, engineering, and construction spaces to support us as we scale. And we can provide more details during the one-on-one conversations later. And also, as mentioned earlier, we've also been partnered with multiple government agencies to build a coalition to prepare for, say, the 2028 Olympics, which we're very excited about.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to hand it over for our last pitch. Jason Aramburu from Climate Robotics.
Hi, I'm Jason Aramburu, the co-founder and CEO of Climate Robotics. We've developed a system to sequester atmospheric carbon that's 10 times cheaper than other carbon removal technologies. Global carbon emissions have reached dangerous levels. Earth's soils contain more than 15 times as much carbon as the atmosphere and have room to permanently and safely store much more. Biochar is one of the most promising solutions for soil carbon sequestration. Through a process known as pyrolysis, waste biomass that would otherwise decompose is converted into a stable, mineral form of carbon called biochar. When added to agricultural soils, biochar acts as a powerful soil amendment, improving the health of weathered and acidic soils. By burying this biochar in the ground, we can safely and permanently store 100% of human CO2 emissions each year for the next 20 to 40 years. But the problem is cost. Collecting waste biomass is costly and tedious. Likewise, transporting bulky waste material to a centralized processing plant is inefficient. At Climate Robotics, we've developed an intelligent robot that cleanly and efficiently converts abundant waste biomass into biochar on site, eliminating the need to collect and transport it. Our battery-powered robots traverse farm fields, urban land, and degraded land, converting the biomass waste into biochar. Biochar improves the soil's health, nutrient retention, and water retention, making it a valuable solution for commercial farms. Our robots can be manufactured using 90% off-the-shelf parts and can be operated by an unskilled worker and can process an acre of land in 1 to 4 hours depending on biomass availability. To give you a sense of scale, for every acre of land that we convert into biochar, we permanently sequester 3 to 5 tons of CO2, the equivalent emissions generated by a year of driving. Our robots can be powered by a generator or solar array and sequester 5 to 10 times more carbon than they emit. We've developed an auger-based induction heating system for our biochar reactor that's cheaper and easier to manufacture than other biochar production technologies. Raw biomass is continuously moved through the reactor and converted to biochar. Using an array of onboard sensors and automation, we're able to precisely control the reaction conditions to produce biochar suited for a particular agricultural application. The resultant biochar is then applied and incorporated into the topsoil using a modular tilling system. With 1 million of our robots in service around the world, we could solve global climate change. We sell our biochar production as a service to landowners at a price of about $50 per acre. This price point is about 20% less than what a farmer pays today to have equivalent chemical soil amendments spread on her fields. We own and operate the robots, making them simple for customers to adopt. At full utilization, each robot generates around $50,000 in annual profit from service fees. This means we won't require carbon credits to be profitable. Once we reach a scale of at least 1,000 acres per year, we will resell the carbon offsets we generate on the open market. At current prices, each robot can generate an extra $25,000 in profit per year from the sale of carbon credits. We target farmland, ranchland, and degraded or vacant urban land. We're also exploring partnerships with fire chiefs in the western states to use biochar as a wildfire control mechanism. Because our robots are small and mobile, we can easily locate them when and where waste biomass is available. Worldwide, there are over 2 billion acres of degraded land suitable for improvement with climate robotics systems. The cost of land degradation to humanity is estimated at $500 billion annually. At a carbon price of $3 a ton, which represents the lowest market price available today, we estimate our total addressable market at $60 billion a year. We're currently completing 5 pilots with customers across commercial row crop farming, ranching, flower farming, and urban farming. These customers include private landowners and agribusinesses. Pilots are an essential step in convincing farmers to adopt any new agricultural technology solution. We've bootstrapped to de-risk our technology and filed provisional patents before we scale. In parallel, we're working with CAR and Vera, 2 of the largest carbon offset registries in the US, to develop a carbon credit methodology for biochar. We have a pipeline of over 1,500 farmers and landowners in North America interested to purchase and apply biochar to their soil. Competing carbon removal technologies include direct air capture, regenerative ag, techniques like no-till and cover cropping, and centralized biochar production plants. While fighting global climate change will require multiple technologies at multiple scales, we beat all existing solutions squarely in terms of cost. Competing technologies cost hundreds or thousands of dollars per ton of CO2 and require massive upfront investment. In addition, these techniques are all limited in the total amount of CO2 they can capture. Our robots can be produced in existing factories and can sequester billions of tons of CO2 for thousands of years at a target cost at or below $10 a ton of CO2. That's multiple orders of magnitude cheaper than competing solutions. Most importantly, our process generates a valuable agricultural commodity as a byproduct that millions of farmers already purchase. My co-founder and I have collectively worked in biochar and carbon sequestration for over 30 years. I founded a successful agricultural hardware company which generated 7 figures of revenue and served as a director of investments at Baidu, the largest AI company in the world. Morgan got his PhD in soil science from Berkeley, consulted for the DOE, and was named a Virgin Earth Prize pioneer by Richard Branson. Our partner and advisor, Peter Sand, is an expert on building autonomous robotics platforms for agriculture. The time is now to get serious about scalable, low-cost carbon removal. Climate change is an existential threat to our way of life, and existing solutions cannot be scaled up overnight. We believe that automation is the key. It has never before been cheaper and easier to build, program, and scale self-driving robotic systems. Thanks to companies like Tesla, autonomous navigation systems and electric powertrains have become commoditized and will continue to get cheaper over the next decade. We can ride these cost curves and rapidly scale our fleet of robots around the world. Carbon removal will be a bigger industry than big oil, but we need your help to lay the groundwork. We've extensively de-risked and validated our technology and seek to complete the design for manufacture and testing of our next generation robot. This will allow us to rapidly and cost-effectively scale up production and unlock our next $2 million in pipeline value. Join us to make a dent in the climate crisis and build the next generation of agricultural robot.
Thanks so much, Jason. How much biomass is actually available? And besides climate robotics, what else can farmers do with it?
Yep, so there are over 900 million acres of farmland in the US alone. And within the lower 48 states, farms produce at least 1.5 tons per acre of suitable dry biomass. And in higher intensity cropping, that goes up to 3 or 3.5 tons per acre. Today, most commercial farmers just leave the waste in field to decompose, where it turns into CO2, or they simply burn it.
Got it. Do you also work with nitrogen and phosphorus, or does climate robotics just affect carbon?
So what we do, part of our IP is actually the recipes of biochar that we produce. So we can modify the reaction conditions. We can also add in particular additives, including organic fertilizers and amendments, to make really precise biochars for particular agricultural applications.
Thanks, Jason. And can you break down your revenue? Do you require carbon credits to be profitable?
We don't need carbon credits to be profitable. We operate the business as an agricultural service, and we charge $50 to $200 an acre, depending on the density of the terrain and the biomass and the particular services that the farmer wants. That price point represents a 20% or more discount to what they would normally pay for these same services and for chemical soil amendments. At this point, we operate profitably on a per unit basis just through the service fees. Once we get to a large scale, we will pursue carbon offset verification, marketing, and sales, because that's just additional revenue.
Thanks, Jason. Will scaling the manufacturing of the robots ever become a bottleneck?
Well, my co-founder and I have a lot of experience manufacturing both consumer devices and very large, heavy equipment. So we don't anticipate it to be a significant bottleneck. The technology has 90% off-the-shelf components, so it's very easy to manufacture in existing factories. And we're working with a number of US-based contract manufacturers to produce the first few units of our next generation robot.
Thanks, Jason. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. Please do continue to connect with our founders. I see questions still coming in. I'd like to introduce Sean Abramson, the managing partner of Urban Us, to close us out today.
Thanks, Shilpi, and thanks for managing all the questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them between a couple of different channels, but we will follow up. We'll ask the founders to follow up to get to the ones we missed. The last 5 months felt like a couple of years. 5 months ago when we were doing a demo day, we were still getting questions about Zoom. You sort of think about all the open questions we had. We didn't know if investors were going to sort of wait and see. We didn't know what customers were going to do. It really wasn't clear how difficult it would be for this cohort to make progress. And I think it's been pretty remarkable. I think compared to sort of any cohort that we've worked with, these teams have been amazingly productive. Our experts and residents have pulled off, sort of working independently, never getting to meet in person, have still pulled off amazing things in design and engineering. And I think we've seen teams closing fundraising even before demo day, which is quite unusual. So congratulations to all the founders. I really hope a lot of you will get to meet them one-on-one and learn more about what they're doing. I think the challenges that we face now for cities and climate have never been more urgent. And I think the thing that we are inspired by and looking for, we like things that sound like science fiction. We like ideas that potentially make you smile or even laugh because they sound maybe too far out there. And so if you're a team working on an idea like that, or if you know teams working on ideas like that, we'd love to meet them. We still have another week while we're accepting applications for the next cohort. And then finally, from all of us at Mini and Urban Us, thank you so much for joining and for engaging and asking questions. And stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.